Would you like to make this journal yourself? Keep watching. Hello everyone, my name is Tina. I am head of design of VectoriaDesigns. In this video I will show you how to make this journal from scratch. For the pages I will use a printable journal kit from our shop, but you can do the same with any type of paper that you already have. Now quickly before I get started, if you like paper crafting like I do and you haven't subscribed yet to this channel, you're more than welcome to do that right now. And now let's start. Let's first start with what's to come inside a journal. Now I have here a few papers on top of each other. They're folded in half and one of these packets is called a signature. And I'm going to put 2 signatures into this journal. Now these pages you can get from anywhere. You can use old newspaper, you can use scrapbook paper or magazine wrappings, anything that is paper or even fabric or whatever. Just stack them on top of each other and fold in half, and there's your signature. Now of course you can also use printables, and I used printables from our shop, and these have 6 different double-sided pages, but you can print as many as you like of them. And on the back I printed the back design that you get with the kit, and then when I cut all these out and fold them in half and stack them on top of each other, I will have another of these signatures. Now I see these pages have a bit of white in the middle, and I'm going to quickly solve this with a brown liner. Just like that, just to take the white away. And then I simply trim all the white edges off. So I trimmed all of these pages, and for the record, for the journal I'm going to make in this video, the pages that I use are 10 inches and 3/16 of an inch by 7 3/4 of an inch. And now I'm going to fold them in half one by one. So I'm going to fold this one this way. I'm going to fold this one this way. Stack it on top. And this one I'm going to fold that way again, the blank side out. And you can alternate like this. So I stacked them all on top of each other, and now I have 2 signatures. Of course, with this method you can make 2, 3, 4, 5, even 10 signatures if you like to. It's time to start with the cover. And I've taken some cardboard. Now, usually I would use some cardboard from cereal boxes, but I'm out of those, so I actually used blank cardboard that I bought in a store. This is 1 millimeter thick. That's about a 1/16 of an inch thick. And the measurements are 5 1/4 of an inch by 8. This one too. And the spine is of course also 8 inches long and 3/4 of an inch wide, because I only have 2 signatures for this journal. And if you want to use new cardboard too, you can get all these 3 pieces out of one 8.5 by 11 inch sheet. For now, the front and the back are going to go exactly the same. So let's start with this. And I'm going to cover it with these papers. These are papers from our shop too. I printed these on 160 grams paper. That's about 59 lb cover, if you measure like that. And I just found out how to print borderless with my Canon printer, and I am so happy that I don't have to trim all those edges anymore. But of course, for this journal cover I have to trim it anyway, because this is much too large, of course. You can use craft paper or any other kind of paper. I just like it to be a bit sturdier, because that makes my cover a bit sturdier. Okay, I want about almost 1/2 inch on each side. So I'm just going to measure it this way. So put it in my trimmer. Put this on top. Yep, about that. I put it like this. That seems great. And of course these offcuts I'm gonna keep in my scrap bin. And for now, my favorite way to adhere this is as followed. Double-sided tape with some Fabri-Tac. You can use other glues too, like white glue, or just use double-sided tape all over here, but that just takes too long. But this one is not water-based, so my paper is going to wrinkle. That's why I love this one. It does smell a bit, however. First of all, I'm going to attach double-sided tape along the edges of the cardboard, like this. Yes, regular viewers know I like this tool. It's a spatula from my Silhouette, but I use it to peel off the backings, and with this tool I can have a clean cut just with the edge without having to use scissors. Then all along the edge. Then take these off, easy peasy. Put a thin layer top of this. I like to keep the nozzle very close to the cardboard so I don't have a big splash of glue there. And then place it about in the middle of the paper. You don't have to measure it, just eyeball it like this. It doesn't matter at all. Okay, and then I'm going to cut corners, literally, but I'm going to keep 1 millimeter extra away from the corner so that the corner will be covered too. Woo, that was close. So that the corner won't be bare. Then I'm going to take my bone folder or something other that you can use, a ruler, mini ruler or something, to bend these, use my fingers too, against the edge so I have a flush finish. Do that on all 4 sides, like this. And then I'm going to apply double-sided tape again against the edge of the paper. This tape that I use is 5/8 of an inch, but you can use any size. Yeah, it's 9 millimeter. Of course, you can use any size. You don't have to have all the sizes that way. This. Always make sure to rub the tape for a good bond. Let's get these off. This, and this is not necessary, but I like to do it. It's just a little bit of glue on the edge of the cardboard, just like that. Not much. You don't want your glue to leak out. And then one by one fold over the edge, and if you use heavier paper it's going to be a bit hard to keep it flush. Just use your fingers. There. That's why it's necessary to pre-fold these so you don't have any air gaps in between. Then if it's thick cardboard like this, I like to rub the edges also. There we go. This is the outside of the cover for now. And to cover the inside, I'm just going to use some regular craft paper, but again, you can use any type of paper if you like. And I'm going to leave a little border around. I'm gonna make these 5 by 7 3/4. No need to measure. This trimmer has every size that I need. I'm gonna cut off 7 3/4 here. Great. And then 5. This. Of Of course you can just glue it, but I like to use double-sided tape on the edges and glue in the middle. And stick it in the middle. Take care, because with double-sided tape there's no second chance. The glue is forgiving, but the tape is not. Okay. And this way you have a very nice and neat, sturdy cover piece. Repeat the same steps with the other part. So I made an exact replica of the first cover piece, and now it's time to attach the spine. Now I don't need to do anything with the spine yet, because I'm going to cover it, and I'm going to do that with this fabulous piece of ribbon. The width of this ribbon is 1.5 inch or 3.7 centimeters, and I'm going to do it like this. I'm going to put my ribbon here, and then I'm going to use fabric tack and take a good amount of glue. All glued up, and I'm going to place it in the center. Let's see, how much do I need? Like this, this, and this. I'm not going to need this part, so cutting this off. I just did the worst thing ever, and everybody can see it. I used my paper scissors, my very, very good paper scissors, to cut fabric. Don't do this at home. I have fabric scissors for that. Can you believe it? Oh boy. There. I'm going to place this in the middle. Now this middle doesn't really matter yet, but here in the center. Ooh, perfect. This ribbon has perfect guidelines where to put my spine. This is glued. Now I'm going to put this next to there. I'm also going to glue it, but I'm going to leave a 1mm gap or 1/16 of an inch, just a little gap, so it can bend. See? And now I'm not going to put the glue on my cover because I'm not sure to how far it's going to be, but I'm going to put this on the ribbon. Now this ribbon is fairly dense, so it's not a flimsy ribbon, it's actually very, very sturdy ribbon. And press it down like this. Make sure this is lined up perfectly, and I'm going to do the same on the other side. Now the glue here, and then like this. This type of glue is of course more forgiving than this, so you can still move around if you like. Okay, and let this dry thoroughly before bending. Really press this down. Very good. Okay. And then I'm going to glue this part on top, especially on the edges, where it has to adhere to the cover sides, so you can be more freely with your glue here, especially if you have a big, thick ribbon. There. Make sure it's straight when you glue it down. I feel the glue coming through a bit, but it's not, I don't mind, you won't see it. For the other side, I'm not going to overlap it. I'm going to match it up to this edge. And I take my fabric scissors to cut this ribbon. These are from IKEA, so if you don't make clothes but just have to cut some fabric or ribbons occasionally, this is super. I like to go in these small gaps with my bone folder so it bends neatly afterwards. And now I'm going to let this cover dry for a bit. So I'm going to put this aside. And while my cover is drying, I am going to put some holes. In the signatures, I've already punched holes in this one, and I'm going to show you how I do it in this one too. You can use a needle to poke holes, but I have an awl here and it's very inexpensive, and also you can push through if you want to make some bigger holes to have these stacked and keep them stacked perfectly. I'm going to use some binder clips to keep them where they are so that they don't move. Like this. These aren't going anywhere. I'm going to punch a hole in the center and then 2.5 inches from the center to each side. You can of course make a template for that with a piece of scrap paper, but I'm not going to do that since I already have one signature punched. Just going to measure this one. It's going to be 3 inches and 3/8 of an inches. And there we have our middle. I'm just going to make a mark with my pencil. And also 2.5 inch to that side and 2.5 inch to the other side. Yeah. There. Make sure something sturdy is underneath, like an old phone book, or like this is a cork, piece of cork board. There, hole 1, hole 2, hole 3. It always takes longer measuring than poking the holes themselves. This can come off. So now that my cover is dry, make sure to let it really dry very well before you start working this. I'm going to also poke my holes in here. I have 2 signatures, so I want to spread them evenly to this spine. My spine is 3/4 of an inch, so I'm going to put one at 1/4 of an inch and one at 2/4 of an inch, so 1/2 inch. I'm going to measure that here too. Now I'm going to find the center. So this is an 8-inch cover, so that's easy. That's at 4 inch. My cover, my center holes are going to come, and then one at 2.5 inch. And then other one here at 2.5 inch. Then I'm going to find, I hope you can see it, then I'm going to find the cross points between these 2 markings and these 2. So I'm gonna put this, take my awl, take my ruler, and I'm going to line up this 1/4 of an inch mark with this 1/4 of an inch mark, that, and then I'm going to poke holes where it crosses with these 2 lines. This, here, and here, and also then when I poke these 3 holes, I'm going to line up my ruler with this 1/2 inch mark and this 1/2 inch mark, and I'm going to poke holes at the other cross marks. Now I want these holes fairly large so my needle can pull through, so I don't need this anymore, but I'm going to carefully make these holes larger. There. And I'm going to sew these into the spine in a very easy way. It's called a 3-hole pamflet stitch because I have 3 holes. And I'm going to use waxed thread. Now this is quite a thin thread, it's very sturdy, but of course you can use all kinds of thread. Just make sure it's sturdy and not too thick because it has to fit the hole. Each of the signatures that you use needs its own piece of thread. How long should it be? Well, you take a tail like this to make the knot, and then you measure from this hole to this hole twice, and I always take a bit extra cut. And since I have 2 signatures, I'm going to use both. I have here a needle. Don't take a small needle. Make sure this thread can thread through the eye. This one has a sharp point, but that's not necessary. You can use a dull point needle too. Going to take my first signature. Now I can start sewing like this, but I'm going to add something to the middle of each signature. The kit I used to make this tutorial also has a very nice envelope that matches, and I printed 2 of these on, let's feel, I think this is 120 grams of paper, not 160. Yes, 120 grams of paper, so a bit sturdier because normal paper is a bit too flimsy. And I'm going to position that in the journal so I can hide this knot. First thing is to cut this one out. So I cut this envelope out. It also has a back design that you can print on the back. So if you peek into the envelope, it's not just plain white. And I'm not going to totally assemble it yet, but I'm going to crease the folding lines. And fold these over carefully. This. Normally you're supposed to close these, put glue on these, close the envelope, and voila, you have a pretty, very pretty envelope. I'm not going to glue it yet. I'm going to put this in the center of my stack of my first signature. And to do that, I'm also going to find the center. So this envelope is how high? 6 1/4. That is 3 1/8. This 2 1/2 inch. That way, 1, 2 1/2, and 2 1/2 inch that way. Make sure if you put other items in your journal that you use the same measurements, and that's why a template could come in handy if you use other items. Just take a piece of paper, mark where you have to punch your holes, and just place it on every item that you want to put in your journal. Of course, these holes are going to get a lot of pressure from the thread, so if you want to protect them, just put a piece of washi tape on here and it's going to be a bit sturdier. Now I'm going to place this envelope inside the first signature, and I'm going to line up these holes, and then it's going to look like this, so you will have a pocket in here. I'm going to go with my needle through the middle hole, and then through all these middle holes, there. And then going to take my cover, choose one of the rows of holes. I'm going to start with the top one and poke through to the outside. So pull through the needle. Then you go to either one of the side holes and go back in. Just leave a few inches for the tail to make your knot. Find the top hole and thread your needle through the papers and the envelope too. Yes, I'm using some pliers to get this needle through the cover. Always be gentle. Don't start yanking this. And then I'm going to go to the other hole on the other end. Now you're going to go through the middle hole again to end. Now this is going to be the most tricky part, because you're going to need to put the needle and actually 3 pieces of thread through one hole. So be careful. And I notice when I use my pliers, it's going to be easier. You can be a bit more, how can I say it, gentle. Now I'm going to tie a knot. Make sure it's quite tight, but not too tight. I'm going to leave an end of this thread on each side of this piece of cord. So one tail on this side, one tail on that side. And then I'm going to tie my knot. This normal knot. And then I'm going to go and make a knot on top of that, because that's just the way I am. There. And then snip off the ends. And now it's time to close this envelope. So, going to use a bit of glue to put on these two tabs. Put here too. And now close the envelope like this. See, and now you can put things in the envelope and the knot is hidden in the envelope. But as I mentioned, it's not necessary at all. I'm not going to do that in here, and you'll see it's perfectly fine like this too. And now I'm going to put in this signature too. It's essentially the same way. So put your thread through the middle hole, leave a bit of a tail, through the middle hole of your cover, lay it flat and use pliers to gently pull through the needle if necessary, of course, through the bottom hole or the top, doesn't matter. Back and through your pages. Make sure it's straight, there are not any loops. Going through the top. And back to the center. Tail on each side of the thread and make a knot, or if you like me, two. Snip off the ends, and this way you have two signatures in your book and you can write in it. You can lay it quite flat to write in it. I like to leave a bit of room between the signatures so you can write on it very good. And basically you have your journal now. And now I'm going to add a bit of trim to this cover to make it a bit more beautiful. Going to lay it flat open, as flat as I can, so I can work very well. And I think I'm going to make this a bit shabby chic. I have some rough woven material here. I'm not sure what kind of fabric it is. Now this is material that I can't just rip, so I'm going to roughly even butcher this paper. And I'm just going to fray the edges. I'm going to glue that here. And I'm going to do the same on the other side. So I've got the second piece, but the edges are still too beautiful. So I'm going to just pull the edges to really get it shabby. And it's so great to get physical with your crafts. Going to glue that here and this here on top. Oh, this is still too pretty. We don't want pretty, we want shabby. Pretty. Pfft. Now I'm going to butcher cut this piece a bit more. Butcher cut. New verb in the crafting world. Let's stick this on. Don't use too much glue, but enough to get it stuck on there. Not too much that it won't come through. See? Okay. Let that dry. Same on the other side. So I'm actually more dotting the glue on here. See? And you don't have to be too precise with this. I should have ironed that. Oh well. Shoulda, woulda, coulda. And then, as I was a teenager, I bought this fabulous piece of cloth. I think it was for curtains. It has a metallic sheen on there. It is see-through and it's lying around for about 25 years now. And I think it's about time that I'm actually going to use this. This fabric I can actually rip, and I have no idea to what end it's going to rip. See, it rips in angles, but that's fine too. Oh, it's pretty to attach in clusters, you see? Let's see if I can glue this on. Let's see what gives. This is an experiment for me too. Of course, the glue is cutting through. So I'm going to take a few layers and yes, like this, on top of each other. Dot of glue here, and then press it and hope that it holds. No, it's not coming through. A bit more. Yeah, I think that will hold. This is almost sculpting what I'm doing right now. Sculpting with fabric. Cool. Oh, I like this. So I'm gonna tear a few more pieces from this fabric. No idea where it's going to tear. I'm going to make kind of a frame, I think. Dot of glue where I want it. Press and hold a bit. And I'm going to sculpt this along the bottom edge. So I made a bit of a frame here. I think I'm going to add a beautiful photograph or picture underneath here. Yeah, I'm gonna print something from our shop. Let's see if I can find something. In the kit that had the pages and the envelope for this journal, there's also a page with a lot of tags, and I think I'm going to add this tag, or this one, very beautiful, in between here. So I'm going to cut it out. Yes, and I'm going to add a smaller one too. Yep. You can punch these holes with a 1/4 of an inch hole punch very easily. Like this. And I'm actually going to ink the edges a bit. This is the color Vintage Photo. Just a little bit to give them a bit more depth. There's a back design for the tags too, but since I'm going to glue them down, I'm not going to print that. That would be ridiculous. Okay, this one too. And I have a piece of ribbon that matches. In a previous video, I showed you how to color these hole reinforcements. I'm going to use them. I'll link to that video below, of course. I'm going to place the small one on top of the large one. I'm going to fold the ribbon in half, back to front through the hole, and pull those ends through like this. Then I'm going to position this here, some glue on the back. Don't really need to do the edges, just so it won't move. Place this in here like this. I'm going to glue this down too. Like that. Yeah, let's see. Make a bow. Like that. Snip off the ends if you like. You can add a dot of glue on the bow just to keep it from the center, so it'll stay in place. And in the meantime, let's feel, oh yes, this has settled perfectly. So happy with this, look at that. I'm also going to add my favorite corner protectors. Just, you can use a bit of glue in there if you like. These are just some extra touches. I'm also going to add this piece of ribbon, and I'm going to glue that on the edge of this ribbon in the center. Yeah. Right there. I like to put a drop of glue on the ends to keep them from fraying. Bit of nail polish would work here too, of course. Bit of clear nail polish. And you can keep adding and adding and adding ribbons, etc. But I'm gonna stop here. You can decorate the inside of the cover too, or add a ribbon. But essentially, the journal is ready to start using, writing, adding, gluing in extra things. You can add more pockets, trinkets, room enough to write. I hope you liked watching me create this journal from scratch. I hope I gave you mountains of ideas. And don't forget to share this video with your friends or on your social media. That would help us tremendously. And I wish you a truly beautiful day. Enjoy it to the fullest and see you next time. Bye.